Hello, friends. I hope you had a great day. It is about 10:30 here, and I am popping on live. I had the best of intentions to come on live earlier today, and it just didn't happen. We are still getting into the routine and the flow of work, school, teaching balance, but it's fun around here. Actually, we're having a good time. People keep asking me, and it's really been a lot of fun so far. I actually printed up today, so for those of you who don't know, this week is a National Constitution Week here. So the kids actually are supposed to be learning in schools about the U.S. Constitution this week. So that wasn't really part of the curriculum as to what we were doing in social studies. We'll get to that later in the year because we are doing U.S. history this year. And we're at the very, very early of U.S. history. But since it is Constitution Week, we are going to do some fun stuff. So I've been on the hunt all afternoon for some cool Constitution kinds of activities to be able to teach our kids about the U.S. Constitution. So if you're a teacher or somebody whose kids are doing something really cool and you have something to share with me about it, I would love to hear your ideas because we're trying to incorporate some of that stuff in. I have some books on the way, but I don't think they're going to make it here in time for Constitution Week because I didn't know about it until it was too late. So now I'm on the prowl, but I printed up this Constitution escape room this afternoon. I don't know if you could see that. I got it. If you are homeschooling or if you have your kids at home and you're looking for extra fun stuff to do, Teachers Pay Teachers is a great website, but I'll tell you it is very dangerous because there's all kinds of great stuff in there and you'll get sucked in. But this Constitution escape room, I printed this up tonight. It's so cool, but it looks kind of hard. So I have to sit down and really figure it out. I sat down and started reading it tonight. I was going to go live a little while ago, and then I was reading it, trying to figure out the answers myself. It gives the answer guide, but so that I could know how to set it up for my kids so we can get them going. So it's a lot of fun though. So I'm looking for all kinds of fun stuff like that. So if you are homeschooling or if you have your kids at home and they are doing fun things like this with their awesome teachers that are doing virtual teaching, because I really admire those who are able to do that. I know people are saying it to me about homeschool teaching, but the idea of the virtual teaching, the virtual school just did not fit right with us. So I'm looking for fun ideas. So if you hear of anything, definitely let me know. And if you are also in the Detroit area and a homeschooling family, next week, the zoo all week long is doing homeschool days at the zoo. So I've got to go on tonight and reserve our time as to when we want to go next week because you still have to make your reservations. But they'll have stations set up all over the zoo with different activities for the kids to do. So my kids even though we've been there a bunch of times over the summer and even this fall, they are excited to go back next week when all the stuff is set up and they can learn and explore and, find out all kinds of other things. But tonight I wanted to come live and talk to you about the whole idea. This year has been absurdly crazy. I think there's no denying that. Everybody will say that. But the big question, and I've been discussing this all day, is really the idea of when things are crazy, is the crazy controlling you or are you controlling the crazy? I actually started my morning discussing this. I had an early morning client call with somebody that we got on because the crazy was completely controlling her and she was stressed out because of all the crazy that was happening in her life right now. And then we had my morning intention. I start my morning every day with a group of people who we get on and we have a conversation every day. There's a different topic of the day. It is the best conversation. I love it every day. It's a great way to start my day. And that was actually the topic of our conversation this morning as well, based off of this client call that I had done, which is when things go wacky, when things are crazy, when everything feels out of control, is the crazy controlling you or are you able to step back and gain control of the crazy and refocus? And this is really as wackadoo as this year has been, because it's been wackadoo for everyone. I mean, everybody, we're constantly saying it over and over and over. Oh, 2020, oh, 2020, I'd expect that and all these things. But are you looking at things saying, oh, 2020 or oh, whatever, and letting it control where you are and how you're going and letting it spin you out of control? Or are you saying, okay, here's the situation. Here's what's going on in my life. How can I gain control and pull this in? So let me give you, some examples of this. So this client that I was talking to this morning, so the Jewish holidays are coming up this next weekend, and it starts Rosh Hashanah is this weekend, and then it's Yom Kippur, and then it's Sukkot. So there's a lot of days of Jewish holidays coming up over the next 4 weeks. And she was feeling like everything was spinning out of control, and she just had so much to do between work and her kids and the schooling and getting ready for the holidays and doing all this stuff. And she was just feeling really out of control. And so, that was a question that I asked her. As I said, is the crazy controlling you, or are you controlling the crazy? And she stopped and she thought about it for a minute, and she said, I guess the crazy is controlling me. So then we stopped and we reevaluated. Well, let's look at it. Instead of looking at all these holiday days that are coming up, let's first start with the first one that's this weekend is Rosh Hashanah. Let's break it down. What needs to get done? And when we broke it down into small pieces, it didn't feel so crazy. It felt manageable. And so a lot of times when things feel so crazy, it's because we've got a million things flying at us all at once. And we just feel like there's balls all over the place and we don't know which one to catch first. And so sometimes we have to stop and take that step back and say, okay, there's a ball flying at me from this direction, and there's a ball flying at me from that direction, and there's a ball flying at me from this direction. But which one's going to hit me first? Which one do I need to catch first? Which one can I take a bat and swing it out of the park? Which one can I jump out of the way and let it fly off into left field and not ever hit me? And that's really important to pay attention to. Which ones do you need to deal with? And which ones aren't so important? Which ones just feel crazy, but it's really not, and it's really not important in our lives right now. And, some of this, as my conversation went on, like I said, this was my conversation with this client first thing in the morning, and then we had our morning call with a group of people. And one of the people in this group said to, made the comment, she said, when she has a son who, she said, sometimes he'll come to me and he'll say something and want it done in the afternoon, and I'll think to myself, oh my gosh, crazy train's going to be this afternoon. And I stopped her and I asked the question, I said, what if we reframe that? What if we don't call it the crazy train and we just prepare for it? We know that this is going to happen in the afternoon. So we get all of our ducks in a row so that it doesn't have to feel crazy. And she stopped and she thought about it and she said, okay, that makes sense. And that's really important to think about. When we are anticipating something being crazy, it doesn't have to be crazy because we can set ourselves up for success. What usually hits us hard is when something comes out of left field and we're not expecting it to be crazy. We're not expecting it, and so we don't know how to respond. So that's where we need to prepare ahead of time. That's where when we set up our day, when we set up our week, when we set up our plans, we need to stop and think, okay, here's my plan. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to get done. But what happens if I don't get it all done? What happens if something comes out of left field that I have to deal with? What can give? What can be okay? And when we start to plan that way, when we start to think that way, first thing in the morning, every day, plan that out, start our day with intention, things don't happen to feel as crazy. The things that then start hitting us as really crazy, it takes more and more and more to feel like things are totally out of control and totally crazy. And sometimes they are. But when it gets that way, that's where it's stopping, taking a deep breath, taking a step back and saying, okay, am I in control or is the crazy in control? And it's a great question to ask yourself whenever you're feeling like you're out of control. Who's in control here? What do I want to see happen? When we learn to do that, when we can think through that, things get so much easier. I'm going to tell you, this is a work in progress for me. This is something I've been working on for a long time, really not letting the things that spin out of control take over and shoot me off. Some days I'm really good about it, and some days I'm really not. So recognizing though, every time it happens, after it happens, and I can step back and evaluate, I learn from it and I grow from it. And then hopefully the next time that same thing happens, I don't respond in the same way. Hopefully the next time it happens, I can gain control, and then it's going to be something else in my life that's going to come at me as crazy. That's life. That's reality. As I sat back and looked at 2020, there's a lot of wacky things that happened in 2020, for sure, that we never would have expected. But the truth is, every single year, there's always things that hit us. There's always things that feel crazy, but the more we get used to it, the bigger it has to be to feel crazy. So now, right, we've seen 2020. 2020 has been totally crazy, and we've been put into a pandemic. We're teaching our kids from home. I'm homeschooling. All these things, not what we would have envisioned. But now, okay, we're doing that. We're getting through that. When we stop letting that crazy control us, then what's it going to take? I hope there's nothing even bigger than this that's going to send us into even more crazy. So in this world, there probably will be. But it's just learning to take a deep breath and not let it control us, and recognize that when it is controlling us, that's what's going on, and that we need to regain control. So if you can relate to this, I would love to hear it. If you were watching this live, give me a hashtag live. And if you're picking this up in the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Let me know that you were on. And if you can relate to this at all, I would love to hear from you. So I hope you have a great night. I'm going to go finish up what I need to get done tonight, and I'm going to still go back to trying to figure out the Constitution Escape Room, because I would love to do that with my kids tomorrow. But if I can't figure it out tonight, then we will probably be doing it on Thursday and not tomorrow. But I hope you have a great night, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow. Bye.